Lesson number 5 starts with making a new document for a trifold leaflet, and I've dealt with the units in inches right now because I want to point your attention towards the bleed settings. In the American style of creating magazines, etc., we are talking about 1/8 of an inch in terms of bleed. In Europe, it's 3 millimeters. In America, it's 0.125 inch. So please note that you need to deal with different increments than you are used to. In this assignment, we're going to deal with the millimeters. And let's start with creating a trifold leaflet, which will reach the amount of 6 pages, but we're going to start off with just 1 page, 6 millimeters in margins, the bleed settings set to 3 millimeters, and the slug area, I want that to be 10 millimeters on the top. And do not enable the facing pages, and then we could create the new document. There we go. That's our first document, contain the bleed and the slug area. I already said we need to have 6 pages in total, and that's already step number 2 of the assignment. And we need to create extra pages. We could have done that in the new document window, of course, but I want to point you into the direction of creating new pages or inserting new pages through this menu, insert pages. In this little panel, we can tell InDesign to add 5 pages after page number 1 or before, or well, whatever you'd like. And it's going to be based on the parent page. No parents used over here, but that's what we're going to do. So now we've got 6 pages, but it's going to be a trifold magazine. So I want to have 3 pages attached to each other and 3 pages attached to each other as well, the front and back end of the printed leaflet. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that this option, the allow document pages to shuffle, is disabled. And after that, we can select page number 2 and attach it to page number 1, and page number 3 to page number 2. And 5 and 6 is the same, of course. So that's an easy way to make a trifold leaflet. So in here, we're going to add some content. After adding in your content, I would like you to focus on the gym logo because I want to add some effects in there. Very much comparable with the blending modes inside of Photoshop are the options underneath opacity. Over here, we can find the blending modes, and I want you to choose for hard light in this option, which will give us this result. And in order to make it a little bit more readable, I want to add another effect as well, which can be found in the object, effects, and inside of this menu over here, the outer glow menu. And then we can set the parameters like in the tutorial. So it's going to be an outer glow. The blending mode is going to be normal. The opacity is going to be the same, but I want to alter it into a 1 millimeters width of the effect. Then hit OK. And now we've got a nice outer glow. These options can also be found underneath this menu over here, is outer glow as well. And you could be asked to play with one of these effects as well in your exam. So now let's talk about adding in the QR code for the website or for the app of the gym. Let's select the entire URL, Command C, and now go to the object menu, generate QR code. And in here, we can set a QR code for different things, but I want it to be an hyperlink. And of course, HTTPS. There we go. Hit OK. And now we've got a nice QR code attached to our cursor. And there we go. This is our QR code. But it's black and not that good readable. So I want to change the QR code into something different, a different color. Let's go into Object, Edit QR code. And in here, there's also another tab for color. And we can choose any swatch, but I'm going to stick with the paper, the white. There we go. And let's make it smaller again. There we go. That's how you create a QR code and alter it later on. So let's stir the leaflet around, and there's another page. Let's create some content in here as well. And please note that this little object over here, that's one object. So it's not a text frame on a science frame. It's a text frame with a yellow background. So that's an important thing to note. But first, let's focus on the text in this document. Over here in this text field, we can see that there's more text than is allowed. So I want to select this little option over here that will attach the text to my cursor. And now I can select another object over here. Another text will flow into this text field as well. And we're going to continue on until the final text frame over here. That's how you create a flow through different text fields throughout your document. So let's get to this object over here. In this case, I want to have the background of this single object semi-transparent, an opacity of 50%, but the text needs to be 100% opacity. So if I would change this to 50%, also the text becomes hard to read, but I want the text to stand out on top of a nice yellow see-through background. So if I open up the opacity panel over here, the normal setting is for the whole entire object, but you could also choose for the fill only. And if I set the fill to, let's say, 50%, hit OK. Now the background is transparent and the text is still a full 100% visible. So that's a nice thing to know. Also, I want to have a nice feather effect only on the background. So I want to go into this option, apply effect to fill only. And now let's add a fill, and that's going to be the basic feather. And the basic feather needs to have 10 millimeters width. There we go. And now we can see that this effect is only working on the background of the image and not the text. Also over here, it's the settings for the fill and not the text in it. So let's hit OK. And that's how you do such an assignment, such a task in the real test, if you're being asked to do that. And that's how easy it is to apply effects to different levels inside of an object. So in this case, I think my my little leaflet is ready to be printed, and my pre-flight panel down below shows me that there are no errors. But I want to go with you through this little tiny, very important window. And we're gonna create some errors. So let's open up the pre-flight panel, showing us still there are no errors at all. But I want to create a new profile inside of my pre-flight panel. So I'm going to create a new pre-flight profile, and it's going to be my slug, because I want to alter the slug area just a little. And I want to make sure that there are some settings being checked inside of the document, but not the page size and not the orientation, not the number of pages, not the blank pages. But I want to make sure that every single time that I create a nice magazine like this, I want to have a bleed of 3 millimeters all around and a slug size. And the slug size, well, we've entered 10 millimeters on top, but I want to change that to 15 and also the bottom of 15 millimeters. And the left and right, they can stay the same, 0 and 0. And I also want to disable all pages must have the same size and orientation. So let's hit OK. And now there should be an error when I use that profile slug. There's one error, and that error is that there is something wrong with the bleed and slug settings. So if I want to dive into this profile, I can open the define profiles and see, oh, there's a 50 millimeters and a 50 millimeter slug, and I don't have a slug down below. And I know that my slug on top is 10 millimeters. So I need to alter my slug area. So when I go into the file menu, into the document setup, I can enter, well, the top area needs to be 15 for the slug, and bottom needs to be 15 as well. Hit OK. Checking, no errors at all. So that makes it very useful to go through the pre-flight panel just before you are going to package your document. We're not really done yet, because my printer also needs to know that it needs to be a document that needs to be folded. So I need some die lines, some folding lines around my document, and that's where the slug area comes in handy. So just one other little thing that I need to do when I'm going to fold this little leaflet. This end of the page needs to be a little bit shorter than the other two in order to fold it correctly. Same goes for the first page on the left hand side. So I need to alter these pages in size just a little bit. When I go into the Pages panel, I can select the first page and the last page. Command click. And I can change the size over here, edit page size. None of these are correct, so I'm going to choose custom. And this needs to have a width of 96 millimeters, 3 millimeters less trifold inside. Should work. Hit OK. There we go. And now I know that this page over here has 96 millimeters and this 99, 99, and eventually adding with 96 as well. So just a little bit less width. Let's alter it just a little bit. And now everything fits correctly, so I need to do just one more thing inside of the slug area, because my printer also needs to know that the document needs to be folded. So I'm going to add another line over here. And that needs to be a line that shows the printer that needs to be folded. So what I could do is give it a width of 0.5 millimeters. I'll make it black. And change it to a dash line 4 and 4. I think that will work. And that's just Alt and drag and create another one. And make sure that these also are also set on the bottom and of course on the other page. So let's select these as well. Command C. Command Alt Shift V. Alter it just a little bit. 3 millimeters to the right. Plus 3. There we go. And now everything is set to be exported out as a nice PDF. So if I'm going to export out this PDF, please note that it's a document where we didn't set the facing pages. So I need to turn it into spreads over here. And in marks and bleeds, I need to enable the crop marks. I need to use the document bleed settings. And of course, I need to include the slug area. So once again, spreads, crop marks, use the bleed as slug, and enable the slug area. Export out your document. And then here in Acrobat, we can see that there's the document with the folding lines, the bleed area, and everything in there is correctly done. So that's how you create a trifold magazine. And I've pointed out all the things that you need to know in order to do things professional for your professional ACP exam. Good luck and see you in the next one.